Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Be a Better You podcast. I am your host and subconscious reprogramming expert, Allison K. Dagny. If this is the first time you're tuning in, I have a really exciting episode for you today. And we're going to be talking about AI, artificial intelligence, as a powerful tool for healing and reflection. But I also want to really place some emphasis on how this can actually stunt your healing if you're not careful. So we're going to go through the ways that AI can be used very well, why there could be problems or how those problems can show up for you, and then giving you some really effective tips on how to use it for your own healing journey, because it's not a replacement for human relationship or interaction. And I want you to be able to take this tool and apply it to your life and really help you for your greatest good. And if we're not careful, then we can end up in a trap that helps us stay stuck. And I don't want that for you. So first and foremost, if you haven't used AI before, if you haven't used ChatGPT or any of these like online tools to help you with your healing, I'm here to tell you people are using it all the time. They are questioning it. They're asking it, like, is this normal or what is this about? AI is so helpful for a lot of things, and people are using it for healing. They're using it for understanding dynamics in their relationship. They're getting advice from it, right? But here's the thing I want you to know, that if you're only getting information from AI, ChatGPT, or whatever you're using to agree with you, you're actually not healing. You're just building yourself a virtual yes bot. And this is very scary, because if you're not careful, what it can do is it can feed your victim mindset, it can inflate your ego, and it can also isolate you from the real world and people in your life where that growth really comes from, as far as like being challenged. So that's why I want to have this conversation, because I absolutely use AI in a lot of the things. I use it as a consult. I use it to help me brainstorm. But let me tell you a quick story. So in my relationship with my boyfriend, something had come up. So this was a while ago. I consulted ChatGPT, and as I was reading the responses, I noticed that ChatGPT was validating me. It was saying, "You're in the right. This is absolutely, you aren't wrong here," and it gave me lots of things, and I was just feeling really good. And then I started to realize that, wait a second, like, I wonder if my boyfriend asked it the question from his perspective, if it would agree with him. So I did a little experiment, and the next time that we had like a little disagreement, I went in and pretended to be my boyfriend, like said the situation from my boyfriend's perspective, and ChatGPT agreed with me. I then turned around and said it from my own perspective, and ChatGPT agreed with me. And so I'm like, well, both of us, right, like, can't be 100% right here. So I thought, okay, well, this is a great opportunity for me to look at things from a different angle, look at things from a different perspective. And that's what I do every day in my own healing journey and with the women that I work with to help them heal. We're always looking for other angles and perspectives, right? So I just want to bring this to you today, because if you are using it, how you can actually start to change this to help you in the best way possible for your own healing. So artificial intelligence is an amazing tool, especially for reflection, when you use it the right way. So for instance, I love to use it for journaling prompts. I love to use it for tips on like regulating the nervous system, looking at things from different perspectives. It's really good at that if you program it to. If you use the right prompts and you tell it what to do, okay? It's really helpful for processing emotions that you might be confused about. It's really good to help you script things, like if you want to communicate holding a boundary with someone. I always recommend that whatever ChatGPT tells you, that you then revise that into your own words and say it in your own way, right? Because if you're dealing with humans, You want to be authentic, and you don't want to just be taking whatever ChatGPT tells you to say, copying and pasting it and sending it in a text message or an email, right? You need it to be your authentic voice. And then also it's really good for helping you reframe things for your own language, for self-worth, to kind of make shifts for you, to see things in a different way if you're feeling really down about something. But here's the thing. It is going to mirror, that's what it's designed to do, the energy that you bring to it, right? So essentially, whatever you're prompting it with, so let's say that the words that you're using is like, I'm really upset and this feels really unfair and I can't believe that they did this to me, da 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 da, right? That sort of thing. ChatGPT is going to take that because it is a pattern recognition program, right? It's not like a real human. It takes those pieces of information and then crafts a response to mirror what you're saying. Okay, so it's going to be like, oh yes, that would be really hurtful. I can totally understand why you would be upset about that. And that's great for validation, but it's not always great for reality. Okay, so if your prompt is rooted in blame, or it's rooted in victim mode, or it's rooted in something else, it's going to reinforce that unless you intentionally challenge it, unless you purposefully ask it to do a different job. Now, the challenge is here because we want to feel validated. We want to feel that we are right, right? Typically, most people aren't going to ChatGPT and saying, tell me where I'm wrong here. Tell me what other things I didn't consider. Tell me where I might have been a little, oversensitive, or maybe I wasn't thinking of things in the right way. What other angles here that I haven't considered, right? That's real reflection. That's real inner work, not just asking it to validate that you were right. Okay, so the problem here is that when AI is always agreeing with you, it's creating an echo chamber, and a dangerous one. So if you're only asking it, and not even outright, you're not saying only agree with me. You're not saying that. But the way that your prompts are leading is going to mirror that. So it's going to confirm your point of view, right? And that becomes very dangerous because you're not seeing things any other way except for your way. Okay? So what this does ultimately is does four main things. It'll reinforce black and white thinking. And black and white thinking is only one way, not any other ways. Only this, not that, right? There's no gray area. There's no middle road. It's only this or only that, which can be a very, very, very difficult trap to get out of when you're trying to heal from emotional abuse. It can encourage moral superiority or self-righteousness. It can, and this is the one that I really want to highlight, is that it validates the victim mindset, or even narcissistic patterns, right? So that is not going to help you heal. When you're stuck in victim mindset, when you're in moral superiority, when you're just in this black and white, none of that stuff actually helps you heal. And the last thing is it really just skips over nuance, it skips over growth, or it skips over any personal responsibility that you might need to take, right? And I've seen this before where, I see it online, I've seen it with people personally, where because ChatGPT has completely validated you, you are now blocking everyone in your life, or you're blocking this person or that person because ChatGPT told me that this was not okay, or that this was whatever, right? And in some cases, it might not be okay, right? If someone is hurting you, physically hurting you, emotionally hurting you, is abusive, that sort of thing, and ChatGPT is telling you this is abuse, then you ought to pay attention, right? But you also ought to get other perspectives, not just ChatGPT, okay? Maybe ask another human being, maybe ask a therapist, a doctor, a human person, right? Not just living in your echo chamber from your AI BFF, okay? So healing does not mean you need everyone to agree with you. You need insight. You need information, right? Not just a yes bot. There's so much danger in just having that constant validation. Now, if you're someone you're like, but no one's ever validated me my whole life. I've always thought I was the problem. I've always thought I was the issue. I've always been told that, I'm the one that needs to change. Now ChatGPT comes in and tells you everyone else is wrong and you don't need to do those things, right? I'm not saying that there isn't something valuable in having ChatGPT validate you. I'm not saying that at all. We need that. We do need that validation, okay? The problem becomes when it's only validation, when there's no challenge to, well, what did I maybe misspeak in this conversation? Or what could I have done differently? Or where do I need to take responsibility here, right? Because what you're doing then is you're creating this like silo that you're in where you can't see anything else. And that's going to keep you stuck. And if you're listening to this podcast, I know you don't want to be stuck. Okay? So let me give you a real life example. Let's say someone goes to ChatGPT and they ask it, like, my partner won't open up to me. Why are emotionally unavailable men so toxic? Well, AI is going to list all the classic behaviors of emotionally unavailable people. Okay? That's what it's trained to do. And it's going to totally miss the opportunity to say to you, let's look at your communication style. Are there any patterns that you could be contributing to this? What about your childhood wounds? What about your attachment style, right? It doesn't really give the opportunity for self-reflection unless you direct it to, okay? Because you are the one that has to give it the prompt. Otherwise, it just becomes a mirror of whatever you think, your narrative. It's not a source of transformation. It's a source of consensus. And that's not always a good thing. That sometimes just keeps us stuck from being able to heal and move forward. All right, so let's talk about how to really use AI for your healing and not just your validation. So let me give you some tips for some better prompts, okay? So something you might ask it is to play devil's advocate, right? What might I be missing in this situation? Then tell it the situation. You could say, what role might I have played here that I'm not seeing? You could say, offer me 3 perspectives that are different from mine, even if they're uncomfortable. Ask it, what might a trauma-informed coach challenge me to look at from within? And then, how can I take ownership of my healing in this situation instead of blaming others? Now, this could be very uncomfortable for you. Even just hearing these things, there might be resistance. And if so, I'm here to tell you that's a good thing, because that means it needs some attention. It needs some reflection and to look at. And if you're like, ew, I don't like these, I don't want it to do that for me, then I'm here to tell you, you need to, okay? Because what we don't want to happen is you end up having a best friend AI bot and no one else in your life. You have no relationships with anybody else, right? And that's the really dark road that I see in front of people who don't use it properly, okay? And that's why I'm sharing this with you. So artificial intelligence, AI, is a tool. It's not a replacement for human interaction, human relationship, okay? You cannot heal trauma, your relational trauma from your past or your life, in isolation. Okay? You're not going to heal that in a digital format or digital silo. Okay? Real healing happens in real relationships with safe, honest, regulated people. And if you're like, well, I don't have any safe, honest, and regulated people in my life. Well, this is a challenge for you to become safe, honest, and regulated and start attracting in more of those people into your life. Okay? The other thing is that a lot of people miss here. Like when you text somebody and things can get lost in translation because you don't have the nuance of someone's tone, their facial expressions, or body language. Well, AI cannot read your tone. It cannot see your face. It cannot look at micro expressions. It cannot do any of these things. It cannot hold your hand. It cannot give you a hug. It cannot call you out with love. It cannot say, like, I hear you, but did you ever think about this? Right? It can't do that for you. At least not now, right? Like maybe over time it can become smarter and it can do that, but at least not now. So avoiding human interaction because AI is easier, or it feels better, it feels good, it's not as uncomfortable, it's not scary, right? What that is it's a slippery slope towards being lonely in your life with this like inflated sense of self-certainty or like ego. And I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you, that is not the way to become the best version of yourself. Okay? Here's another risk, a big one. And this one, I'm saying with as much love and care as I can. But AI can breed narcissism, okay? If it's always agreeing with you, if it never challenges you, if it lets you stay in this role of like either the hero or the victim every time, right? You might start to feel good and feel empowered, but really what you're doing under the surface that you're not realizing is reinforcing these false narratives that are just protecting you, that are just keeping you feeling safe, protecting you from growth, actually. Like, and protecting isn't probably the right word for that, but like keeping you from your growth. So you might start to believe things like, I'm always right, or everybody else is the toxic one. And I'm not saying you're toxic. I'm just saying like it keeps you in a silo. It keeps you from being able to see other perspectives. And that is the way that we heal, is to see other perspectives, right? You might start to believe like, I don't need people who disagree with me. And that's not healing. That is bypassing, right? And actually it's like spiritual bypassing with a technology upgrade. Like, let's just think about that for a moment, right? You are literally using ChatGPT, the technology that has been presented to us, that's constantly upgrading and constantly growing and constantly improving and getting faster and better. You're using that to help you bypass your healing. So how do we create real, true inner healing and growth with artificial intelligence and human support? Okay? So we can use AI to explore our emotions and maybe come up with the language that we don't have yet to describe our feelings or to express a boundary. We could use it to create scripts or meditations, journal prompts. It might help us shift our thinking. It can be used to challenge your beliefs if you ask it to, right? And there's some courage that needs to come from that, right? Because some people don't want to go there. And I get it. I understand. It's difficult. It's like going to a friend who is always going to be your biggest cheerleader, or going to another friend who's going to tell you all the areas they think that you could make it better or could find the flaws in it for you, right? It takes a little bit of courage to go to the friend who's going to give it to you straight, right? Versus the friend who's just going to be like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, I love it, which is what ChatGPT does. Okay? And then also you can use it to help you regulate. It will give you like tips on how to regulate your nervous system, different ways, like creative ways to reflect and reset, like your mind and your emotions. But also, right, let humans, safe human beings, reflect the truth back to you. This is so key, right? Use AI, use it. I'm not saying not to use it. Use it the right way, okay? And also like get feedback that you might not like from humans. Allow discomfort, that uncomfortableness, to become a pathway to your actual healing, right? Because we're not healing in the comfort. So if ChatGPT is just building you up and telling you how amazing you are and you are, you're always right, you are not going to heal. You are not. I'm just telling you. The healing comes in the discomfort, right? The more comfortable that we are, the less we can see the areas that we need to change or improve. Now, again, I just have to say, I believe that ChatGPT and AI or any other ones that you're using can be a brilliant tool, a guide for us to really improve our lives, but only if you are training it to tell you the whole truth, not just what you want to hear. Okay? When you're healing, what that really means is you are choosing to go towards the discomfort, not just surrounding yourself with things that always make you feel good. And you might be like, well, I've always been uncomfortable and I've always had to struggle. I get it, right? There are ways to get to the comfort. But if you're taking a shortcut and you're bypassing, you're missing out on opportunities to be the best version of yourself. So when you're using it, be mindful of this and don't just create a best friend BFF bot that's just agreeing with everything you say. Create it to be a tool that helps you improve and be the best version of you that you can. Because if you aren't doing that, you're not going to show up in the life that you're building with the people that you want to have in that life. Right? It's going to build walls. It's going to cause you to be ultra defensive. It's going to cause people to pull away from you. So I hope this has given you some insight, especially if you're somebody who likes to use it. If you haven't used it, great, because now you can take this information and start building that to help you, like build that bot out to be not just like a yes bot, but it will actually like show you the flaws in your thinking and give you alternative perspectives and other possibilities to consider, because that's where the growth is, okay? And I feel like this is so dangerous if we aren't using it the right way. Again, like holding people in victim mode and creating inflated egos and like these heightened sense of righteousness and self-worth. And I know that I'm myself do not want that in my life. I do not want that. So I really do not use ChatGPT in this way, because I do not want that to be my life. I can see that dark road. I know that people are going down that road. I've witnessed it. I've seen it. I've heard about it. They want to be validated. They want to be right. And who doesn't? Okay? But that's not how we heal. That's not how we raise our consciousness. That's not how we become better humans. Okay? So just be really mindful of that. So if you're using AI because you don't feel safe opening up to people, or maybe you don't have anybody that's safe enough to open up to, or maybe because you're tired of being misunderstood, I get that. I really, really do, because I've experienced 20 years of emotional abuse. But I'm here to tell you that healing does not happen in a vacuum. You need safe spaces to tell the truth, to tell your truth, to open up and be vulnerable. And you need real reflection. And if you want somebody who's in your corner, who's trauma informed, who will gently challenge your perspectives instead of shrinking it, then I'm here and I'm that person for you. And I will do that for you. So whether it's inside my Ask Allison Boxer support or my one-on-one coaching programs, this is where we grow. You don't need another voice that just agrees with everything that you say. You need someone who can help you challenge your perspectives so that you can grow into the person that you really are. So if you want any of those resources, you can check the link in the show notes here, or you can visit my website at www.radiate.rise.com, and all of my online courses, my one-on-one programs, my Ask Allison support, all that stuff's available out there for you. So go out there and take a look, and you can always email me too, or find me on Instagram or Facebook and send me a message, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for being here. I hope this has been an enlightening, eye-opening episode for you. And if you want to continue the conversation outside of here, just get a hold of me. I'm happy to chat. Thanks so much. Talk to you next week.